I never wanted to be a hero. Hell, I didn't even want to be the center of attention. All I ever wanted was to come home to a warm house, a woman who looked at me like I mattered, and maybe a family that didn't treat me like a guest in my own damn kitchen. My name is Mike Turner. I'm 42 years old. I work as a project manager for a mid-sized construction firm out of Columbus, Ohio. I wear flannel shirts on weekends, drink black coffee strong enough to strip paint, and still drive the same Ford F-150 I bought used back in 2014. I don't have tattoos, I've never been arrested, and the only time I raised my voice in public was when the Browns blew a 17-point lead in the playoffs 3 years ago. Ordinary? Yeah. That's me. And for 10 years, I thought ordinary was enough. It started with Sarah. We met at a friend's barbecue, just a bunch of people grilling brats and drinking cheap beer in someone's backyard off Lane Avenue. She was standing by the cooler, laughing at something her friend said, sunlight catching the red in her hair. She wore jeans that fit just right and a denim shirt tied at the waist. I remember thinking she looked like someone who knew how to live. She was divorced, had 2 kids, Emily, then 13, and Jake, 11. Her ex-husband, Greg, was around, whatever that meant. Paid child support sometimes. Showed up for holidays if it didn't interfere with his golf schedule or his new girlfriend's yoga retreats. Sarah and I started dating casually. Then seriously. Then, 2 years in, she moved in with me. I wasn't her first relationship since the divorce. But I was the first guy who didn't disappear when things got hard. Who didn't make excuses when Emily had her first panic attack before a school play. Who didn't roll his eyes when Jake left muddy cleats all over the hallway for the 3rd time in a week. I liked those kids. At first. I coached Jake's rec league baseball team that spring. Spent Saturday mornings helping Emily build a volcano for her science fair project even though we both knew vinegar and baking soda weren't going to win any awards. I took them to Cedar Point one summer, paid for their tickets, their food, their stupid light-up vans they dropped on the first ride. I did all of it because Sarah looked at me differently when I did. Like I was more than just the guy paying the mortgage. Like I was part of something real. But somewhere along the line, the rules changed. And no one told me. It started small. A look exchanged between Emily and Sarah when I asked Jake to turn down his music. A muttered "You are not my dad" under Jake's breath after I told him he couldn't take the car to a party where there would be drinking. I let it slide. Kids test boundaries. I get it. I wasn't trying to replace their father. I just wanted to be respected. To be seen. But respect isn't something you earn once. It's something you have to keep proving, day after day, like changing the oil in a car that's always on the verge of breakdown. And I kept proving it. I paid for braces when Greg forgot to send the check. I covered the deductible when Emily needed her wisdom teeth out. I stayed up half the night helping Jake study for his algebra final, even though I barely remembered how to solve for X. Meanwhile, Greg would show up every other weekend like some kind of visiting dignitary, bringing loud laughter, greasy takeout, and zero discipline. He'd let them stay up late, eat junk food, skip chores. Then he'd leave Sunday night with a wave and a "see ya, champs," like he hadn't just spent 2 days undoing everything I tried to build. And the kids. They loved it. They'd come back from Greg's house with that glazed, sugar-rushed glow, already complaining about rules and how unfair it was that they couldn't do what their friends did. I became the villain. Not Greg. Never Greg. Sarah would try to mediate. "Mike, they're just adjusting," she'd say. "You have to understand they still love their dad." Yeah. I understood. I understood fine. What I didn't understand was why I had to parent alone while being treated like an interloper. Why I had to enforce bedtime, pay for extracurriculars, attend parent-teacher conferences solo, all while being reminded constantly that I wasn't really their father. But I stayed. Because I loved Sarah. Because I wanted this to work. Because I told myself that eventually they'd see me. That one day, Emily might call me Dad without hesitation. That Jake might ask me for advice instead of sneaking off to text Greg. That day never came. Instead, it got worse. Emily turned 16 last year. Sweet 16, right? I planned a dinner. Got her a gift, a locket with a picture of her and Sarah inside. I even offered to pay for a small party if she wanted. She looked at the locket, barely touched it, and said, "Greg's taking me shopping next weekend. He said he'd buy me whatever I want." I nodded. Smiled. Said, "That's great." Later, I found out Greg took her to the mall, bought her a designer handbag, and posted a photo on Facebook, proud dad moment. Shopping with my princess. No mention of me. No acknowledgement that I lived with her, supported her, helped her apply for her learner's permit. Nothing. Jake was 15 now. Started calling me Mike instead of Mr. Turner, which I guess was progress. But he also started skipping school, coming home smelling like weed, arguing about curfew like it was a human rights violation. I grounded him. Took his phone. Cut off video game access. 2 days later, I walked into the living room and overheard him on the phone with Greg. "Yeah, Mike's being a total dick again," he said, lounging on the couch like he hadn't just failed 2 quizzes. "He won't even let me go to Tyler's tonight. Says I have to finish homework." There was a pause. Then Jake laughed. "Nah, he doesn't get it. He's not even my real dad. He just lives here." I stood frozen in the hallway. I could have said something. Walked in, made a scene. But what would have been the point? Instead, I went to the garage and sat in my truck for 20 minutes, staring at the cracked leather of the steering wheel, wondering when I became invisible. Sarah knew. Of course she knew. She saw the way they rolled their eyes when I spoke. Heard the sarcasm in their voices when I asked them to help with dishes. Felt the tension at dinner when I suggested limits on screen time. But she never stepped in, not really. She'd give me that tired smile and say, "They'll come around." Or, "You're doing a good job, Mike. Don't let it get to you." But how do you not let it get to you when the kids you fed, clothed, disciplined, and loved for nearly a decade make it clear every single day that you don't belong? The breaking point didn't come with fireworks. No screaming match. No dramatic confrontation. It came on a Tuesday night. Dinner was lasagna, store-bought, but I'd added garlic bread and a salad. I'd picked up Emily from soccer practice, Jake from basketball. Sarah got home late from her shift at the clinic. We sat down to eat. Normal. Quiet. The kind of evening that, on paper, looked like a happy family. Then Emily announced she wouldn't be home this weekend. "I'm staying at Dad's," she said, not looking up from her phone. "He's taking us camping." Sarah frowned. "I didn't know that was planned." "It wasn't," Jake said, mouth full. He just texted. "We're leaving Friday after school." I put my fork down. "And you didn't think to tell us earlier? What about homework? Responsibilities?" Emily finally looked up. Her eyes were cold. "Why do we have to answer to you? You're not our parent." The words hung in the air. I felt my chest tighten. Not anger, at first. More like disbelief. Like I'd been slapped in slow motion. Sarah sighed. "Emily, that's not fair. Mike's been nothing but good to you too." "Oh, right," Emily said, rolling her eyes. "Good. Like making me miss my friend's birthday party because of some dumb chore chart. Or telling me I can't dye my hair blue." "You were failing to classes," I said quietly. "And blue hair violates the school dress code." So, Dad doesn't care. No, I said. He doesn't. Jake smirked. Exactly. So why do we have to listen to you? You are not even blood. I looked at Sarah. Waiting. Hoping. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then said, guys, please. Let's just eat. And that was it. The silence returned. The meal finished. Dishes were cleared by me because neither of them bothered. Later, I stood at the sink, scrubbing dried cheese off a plate, my hands trembling. Sarah came up behind me. Touched my shoulder. I'm sorry, she whispered. They're going through stuff. They don't mean it. I turned to face her. Don't mean it? Sarah, they just told me to my face that I don't matter. That I'm not their parent. And you're standing here telling me they don't mean it? Her face tightened. What do you want me to do, Mike? Yell at them. Push them away. I want you to stand with me, I said. Just once. I want you to tell them that this house has rules. That I'm not just Mike, I'm the man who's been here every damn day while their real dad plays tourist. She looked down. It's complicated. No, I said. It's not. It's simple. Either I'm part of this family, or I'm not. But I can't keep doing this, giving everything, getting nothing but disrespect in return. She didn't answer. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For 10 years, I'd played the role of the patient, understanding stepdad. The reasonable one. The provider. The disciplinarian. The one who cleaned up messes, literal and emotional, without complaint. And for what? To be told I wasn't family. To be treated as a temporary inconvenience between visits from the biological father, the one who showed up with cash and chaos and called it parenting? No more. Something shifted in me that night. Something quiet but irreversible. If they wanted Greg to be the only parent they answered to, fine. I'd give them exactly that. And the next morning, I started making plans. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay there next to Sarah, listening to her breathing slow into the rhythm of sleep, while my mind ran laps around a single, unshakable thought. If they don't want me as a parent, then I won't be one. It wasn't anger at first. Not exactly. It was something colder. Something quieter. Like watching a dam crack slowly beneath the surface before the flood finally breaks. I got up at 5:30 a.m. same as every weekday. Dressed in silence. Made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table with my hands wrapped around the mug, staring out the window as the sky turned from black to grey. The house was still. No footsteps overhead. No music leaking through the walls. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the old floorboards settling. This used to be our time, the quiet before the storm. I'd sip my coffee, maybe read the news on my phone, sometimes scribble down a list of things to fix around the house. A loose step on the back porch. The bathroom faucet that dripped when you turned it off. Little things. Manageable things. But now, sitting there, I realized how much of this house, this life, I had been trying to fix that couldn't be repaired with duct tape or a screwdriver. People can't be fixed if they don't want to change. And those kids. They didn't want me. Not really. They wanted convenience. They wanted freedom. They wanted a dad who said yes instead of no, who handed out cash instead of consequences. So fine. Let Greg be that guy. Let him deal with the fallout when Jake gets suspended for vaping in the boys' room. Let him explain to the school why Emily missed 3 weeks of assignments because she was too stressed from drama club politics. Let him sit in the principal's office, field calls from teachers, write checks for fines, stay up late worrying about whether his kid is safe. Because I was done. I pulled out my phone and opened the Notes app. Typed 4 words. They only answer to their biological parents. Then I added a second line. Then let them. That's when the plan started forming, not in rage, not in revenge, but in clarity. Cold, surgical clarity. They wanted Greg to be the only parent they answered to. Okay. Then he would be the only one. No more rides. No more meals. No more roof over their heads unless he paid for it. No more access to anything tied to me, my home, my car, my Wi-Fi, my insurance, my damn toothpaste. If I wasn't family, then I wouldn't act like one. And if Sarah wouldn't defend me, then she'd have to live with the consequences too. At 6:15, I walked out to the garage and pulled out an old lockbox from the top shelf. Inside was a spare key to the house and a set of brand new deadbolts I'd bought months ago after a break-in scare down the street. I hadn't installed them then. But today, I would. I texted the security company that handled our alarm system. Hey, this is Mike Turner, homeowner at 4827 Sycamore Lane. I need to update the access codes. Remove all secondary users except myself and Sarah Evans effective immediately. Yes, including the children. Also, schedule a locksmith for new exterior locks today at 4 p.m. I'll be home. They responded within minutes. Standard procedure. ID verification. Signature on file. All good. I hit send. One domino down. Next, I called the bank. I wasn't on their accounts, Sarah kept hers separate, which was smart, honestly. But I was the primary on two things, the household credit card, for utilities, repairs, groceries, and the auto insurance policy that covered both my truck and the older Honda I let the kids use for school and part-time jobs. I called the insurance agent first. Mike, what's up? Diane answered, cheerful as always. I need to remove two drivers from the policy, I said. Jake and Emily Turner. There was a pause. You sure? They're listed as household residents. I'm sure, I said. Effective immediately. And please send me the revised premium. I'll cover my truck only from now on. Another pause. Longer this time. Everything okay? No, I said. But it will be. I hung up before she could ask more. Then I called the credit card company. Removed the two secondary cards linked to the account. One Emily used for gas and snacks. One Jake used for video games and takeout. Both maxed out more often than not, with me picking up the tab because Greg hasn't sent money yet. Not anymore. I took screenshots of every change, confirmation emails, policy updates, service tickets, and saved them in a folder on my phone labeled boundaries. By the time Sarah came downstairs, showered and dressed for work, I was already in my flannel jacket, keys in hand. You're up early, she said, pouring coffee. Had stuff to do, I said flatly. She glanced at me. You okay? I looked her in the eye. Are you going to support me when I enforce rules in this house? She blinked. What? Last night, I said. Your daughter told me to my face that I'm not her parent. That she doesn't have to listen to me. And your son agreed. And you said nothing. That's not fair, Mike. No, I cut in. What's not fair is me being the only adult in this house doing the hard work while you let them disrespect me every day. What's not fair is me paying for everything while being treated like a glorified roommate. She set her mug down. You're blowing this out of proportion. Am I? I asked. Then why don't they call you on it when they skip chores? Why don't they roll their eyes at you when you ask them to turn the music down? Because you don't make them uncomfortable. You don't say no. You let Greg be the fun parent and me be the villain. That's not. It is, I said, voice rising. And if you won't stand with me, then I can't keep living like this. I won't. She stared at me, arms crossed. So what? You're threatening to leave. No, I said. I'm setting boundaries. Starting today, this house runs under my roof, by my rules. If they don't like it, they can go live with the father they love so much. Her face went pale. You wouldn't kick them out. I'm not kicking anyone out, I said. But I'm not enabling them either. No more privileges. No more access. And if they can't follow basic rules, respect, responsibility, accountability, then they need to do it somewhere else. With the parents they actually listen to. She shook her head. You are being extreme. Maybe, I said. But I've been patient for 10 years. I've given second chances, third chances, 100 chances. And what do I get? You're not my real dad. Well, guess what? From today on, I'm not acting like one. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Mike, she called after me. We need to talk about this. We will, I said, turning back. Tonight. When Greg picks them up. What? You heard me, I said. Call him. Tell him it's time. Tell him his kids are coming home for good. Pickup is tonight. And if he wants them to have a place to sleep, he better show up. Then I walked out. The drive to work was quiet. Too quiet. My hands were steady on the wheel, but my chest felt tight. Not regret. Not fear. Just resolve. I spent the day in meetings, walking job sites, reviewing blueprints. Normal stuff. But my mind kept circling back to the house. To the locks being changed. To the silence waiting for me when I got home. Would Sarah fight me? Would she reverse the changes? Call Greg behind my back and beg him to wait? Maybe. But I was done begging. At 3:45 p.m., I got a text from the security company. Access codes updated. Secondary users deactivated. New code 1987, your anniversary. I didn't smile. Just nodded to myself. 10 minutes later, the locksmith confirmed the appointment. Then, at 4:12, Sarah called. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message, voice shaky, angry, confused. Mike, this is insane. You can't just cut them off like that. They're children. I'm not letting you do this. We're talking when you get home. I deleted it. At 5:30, I stopped by the Honda dealership on the way home. Walked into the service department. Need to deactivate the key fobs for a 2018 Civic, I told the counter guy. 2 of them. Owner's name is Michael Turner. VIN starts with 19U. He raised an eyebrow. Family issue. Something like that, I said. He didn't ask more. Just typed, clicked, confirmed. All done. Fobs won't work anymore. If they try, the car'll honk and flash lights. Good, I said. Thanks. By the time I pulled into the driveway at 6:10, the new deadbolt was installed. Shiny brass. Solid. The old key no longer worked. I walked in through the garage, set my tools down, and stood in the kitchen. Silence. Sarah was on the couch, arms crossed, phone in hand. Emily and Jake were upstairs, probably texting Greg, I thought. Or posting about how unfair their lives were. I walked to the center of the living room and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Listen up. They came down slowly, reluctantly. Emily with her headphones around her neck. Jake in basketball shorts, still damp from practice. I looked at each of them. This house is mine, I said. I pay the mortgage. I pay the bills. I maintain it. I protect it. And as long as I do, the rules here are mine too. Emily opened her mouth. I held up a hand. No interruptions. You made it clear last night you don't see me as your parent. You only answer to your biological parents. So starting now, that's exactly what you'll get. Jake scoffed. What the hell does that mean? It means, I said, that as of today, You no longer have access to anything in this house that's tied to me. The car. Gone. Your cell phone plan. I was the backup payer. It's cancelled. Wi-Fi password changed. Your accounts will be locked in 24 hours unless Sarah covers the cost herself. Emily's eyes widened. You can't do that. I just did, I said. Groceries? You eat what's here until it's gone. After that, you buy your own. Chores. You do them or live in filth. Curfew. Doesn't matter. You won't be here. Jake stepped forward. Where the hell are we supposed to go? I looked at Sarah. You tell them. She swallowed hard. Then, quietly, your father's picking you up tonight. Silence. Real silence. No sarcasm. No eye rolls. No smirks. Just stunned faces. Emily turned to me. You are kicking us out? No, I said. I'm holding you to what you said. You only answer to your real parents. So go answer to yours. See how long Greg lets you stay up till 2 a.m. playing Fortnite. See how fast he grounds you when you fail a class. See how generous he feels when you need braces or a laptop for school. I looked at Sarah. And you've spent 10 years letting them treat me like a stranger in my own home. You've chosen peace over loyalty. Comfort over truth. But you can't have both. Either you're with me or you're not. If you want them back here, they follow my rules. No exceptions. No special treatment. And you enforce them with me. She didn't speak. I turned back to the kids. Greg knows. He's coming at 7. You have until then to pack what you can carry. Anything left behind stays. And don't bother asking for help. I'm done carrying your weight. I walked past them, into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat at the table. No one moved. No one spoke. The clock ticked. 6:47, 6:52. 6:58, then the doorbell rang. I didn't get up. Sarah did. She opened the door. Greg stood there, jeans, polo shirt, that same easy grin he always wore. Backpack over one shoulder. Looked like he was ready for a weekend hike, not a permanent custody shift. Hey, babe, he said to Sarah. Then saw the kids, bags half-packed in the hallway. Whoa! What's going on? Sarah stepped aside. Let him in. He looked at me. Mike? I stood slowly. Walked over. Greg, I said. Glad you made it. Kids are yours now. They've made it clear they only answer to you. So here they are. Pick them up. Take them home. They're all yours. He blinked. Wait, what? You're kicking them out. No, I said. They kicked me out of their definition of family. So I'm giving them what they asked for. Full custody. No interference. No financial support from me. No access to this house. Ever. He looked at Sarah. Sarah? She looked at the floor. Emily stepped forward. Dad, this is crazy. You can't just. Actually, I said, he can. And he will. Because from now on, he's the only parent you have in your life. Enjoy. Greg hesitated. Looked at his kids. Then at me. I don't understand, he said. Why now? I met his eyes. Because for 10 years, I've been the dad you don't have to be. The one who pays, disciplines, shows up. And you get to play hero with birthday gifts and camping trips. Well, the gig's up. They want you. They're yours. All of them. The silence that followed was thick. Heavy. No arguments. No tears. No dramatic pleas. Just the sound of a family unraveling, and one man finally stepping out of the shadow he'd lived in for too long. Greg looked at his kids. You guys wanna come with me? Emily looked at me. For the first time in years, there was something in her eyes. Fear. Jake just nodded. I watched them walk out, each carrying a duffel bag, a backpack, a stuffed animal Emily had slept with since she was 8. Greg paused at the door. You really mean this? He asked. Every word, I said. They're yours now. Good luck. He nodded slowly. Stepped out. The door closed. I stood there, in the quiet house, listening to the engine start, tires crunch on gravel, fade into the distance. Sarah was crying silently on the couch. I didn't go to her. I walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, pulled out a beer. Twisted the cap off. Drank. And for the first time in 10 years, I felt free. The silence after they left wasn't peaceful. It was hollow. Like the house had exhaled a breath it had been holding for 10 years and now stood empty, just wood, drywall, and memories that suddenly felt like someone else's life. I sat on the couch with my beer in hand, staring at the spot where Jake used to leave his muddy cleats. Where Emily once dropped her backpack every day after school, shouting, I'm home, even when no one asked. Where Sarah and I used to curl up on Sunday nights, watching old movies, her head on my shoulder. Now? Nothing. Sarah stayed on the other end of the couch, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold. She didn't speak. Didn't look at me. Just cried soft, steady tears that fell into her lap. I didn't comfort her. Not because I didn't care, but because I was done pretending. Pretending that balance was possible when I was always the one bending. Pretending that love should be earned through endless sacrifice while being treated like an outsider. Pretending that family meant enduring disrespect just to keep the peace. I'd loved her. Deeply. For a long time, I thought we were building something real, a second chance at happiness, a blended life stitched together with patience and effort. But now I saw it for what it really was, a compromise I made alone. And tonight, for the first time, I refused to make it anymore. At some point, Sarah got up and went to bed. I heard the bedroom door close softly. A few minutes later, the light under it went dark. I stayed on the couch until midnight. Eventually, I grabbed a blanket from the hall closet and lay down. Slept fitfully. Dreamt of keys that wouldn't turn in locks. Of kids calling my name from across a field, but when I ran toward them, they vanished. I woke up stiff, groggy, and strangely clear-headed. The sun was up. Birds chirped. The world kept moving. I made coffee. Walked through the house. Their rooms were still there, unchanged except for the duffel bags missing, a few clothes gone from the closet. Emily's desk still had her half-finished homework. Jake's video game console sat silent, controller dangling off the edge of the couch. I didn't touch anything. Instead, I went outside, opened the garage, and started cleaning. Tools sorted. Oil changed in the truck. Mowed the lawn. Pressure washed the driveway. Little things. Physical things. Things I could control. By noon, I was sweating, sore, and calm. My phone buzzed around 12:47. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Mike? It was Greg. His voice was tight. Not angry. Not sad. Just tired. Yeah, I said. There was a pause. Can we talk? Depends, I said. Are you calling as their father? Or as the guy who wants me to fix this? He exhaled. I don't know how to do this. I leaned against the truck, wiped sweat from my brow. Do what? This, he said. Having them here. Full time. They're not happy. No kidding, I said. They spent 10 years being told they didn't have to follow rules unless I made them. Now they expect you to be both fun dad and authority figure. Good luck with that. It's worse than I thought, he admitted. Emily won't come out of her room. Jake keeps asking when he can go back. They keep saying you'll change your mind. I laughed short, humorless. Tell them I already did. I changed it from put up with disrespect to protect my peace. Another pause. Then, quietly, Sarah called me last night. She's falling apart. I know, I said. She didn't stop me. She didn't defend me. But she's hurting now. That's on her. She says you're done. I am, I said. With the parenting. With the enabling. With being the invisible man in my own home. I'm not kicking her out. But if she wants to stay, she has to choose me or the fantasy that those kids will ever respect me unless she backs me up. Greg was quiet for a long time. Then, you think I've been a bad father? I sighed. No, I think you've been a convenient one. You show up, play hero, disappear. No consequences. No bills. No hard conversations. Meanwhile, I'm the one dealing with the fallout when they fail math or get caught sneaking vodka into a sleepover. I didn't know about that, he said. Of course you didn't, I said. Because I handled it. Alone. He didn't argue. And that silence. That was the sound of realization sinking in. Because Greg wasn't evil. He wasn't a monster. He was just a man who would been let off the hook for over a decade by the system, by society, by Sarah, while I played the role of stand-in dad without the title, the pay, or the respect. Now the bill had come due. And he was the one holding it. I gotta go, he said finally. Emily just screamed at me for touching her laptop. Good luck, I said. And Greg. If you need help, real help. Not just advice on how to make them like you, call me. Not for them. For you. Because being a dad isn't about being liked. It's about showing up. Every day. Even when it sucks. I hung up. Later that afternoon, Sarah came downstairs. She looked exhausted. Hair unbrushed. Eyes puffy. She stood in the kitchen doorway, watching me chop vegetables for dinner. You really meant it, didn't you? She asked. I didn't stop cutting. Every word. She walked in slowly. They hate me. Emily said I betrayed her. Jake won't even look at me. That's because you never forced them to grow up, I said. You let them believe the world revolved around their feelings. That rules were negotiable. That love meant never having to say you're sorry. I was trying to protect them, she whispered. From what? Consequences. Discipline. The fact that life isn't fair. I set the knife down. Turned to face her. Sarah, I protected them too. From failing grades. From bad decisions. From themselves. But I did it with structure. With boundaries. And you let them punish me for it. She wiped her eyes. I thought I was keeping peace. And at what cost? I asked. My dignity. My place in this family. You chose harmony over honesty. And now everyone's paying the price. She sunk into a chair. What do we do now? I took a deep breath. That was the question, wasn't it? Because I hadn't just changed the locks. I'd changed everything. I don't know, I said honestly. But I know this, I can't go back to being the doormat. If we are going to fix this, it starts with you choosing me. Not someday. Not when it's convenient. Now. In front of them. Every time. She looked up. And if I do? Then we rebuild, I said. Slowly. With new rules. No exceptions. And if they come back, it's on our terms, not theirs. She nodded slowly. I miss you, she said. Even when you were here. I missed you. Because you were so far away. I swallowed hard. That hit deep. Because she was right. I had been far away. Not physically. But emotionally. I'd buried myself in work, in chores, in the role of provider, because it was safer than facing the truth that I was losing her, losing myself, one silent compromise at a time. I miss me too, I said. We didn't hug. Didn't kiss. But for the first time in years, we looked at each other like equals. Like two people trying to find their way back. Life settled into a strange new rhythm. Greg called me twice more. First to ask about Jake's medication. I'd been managing his ADHD prescriptions, and Greg had no idea how the refills worked. Second time, he wanted to know if Emily had therapy scheduled. She did. With a woman she actually liked. Paid for by my insurance, for now. I gave him the info. No gloating. No I told you so. Just facts. He sounded overwhelmed. Guilty. Trying. I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But I didn't wish him failure either. Letting go of resentment wasn't about them. It was about me. I started seeing a therapist myself, Dr. Langston, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who specialized in male identity and emotional suppression. First session, she asked, "When was the last time you said I need instead of I'll handle it?" I couldn't answer. Second session, I cried. Third, I realized I'd spent a decade defining myself by what I did for others, while no one defined me as someone worth caring for. Meanwhile, Sarah and I began couples counseling. Not to save the relationship, but to understand how we'd both failed it. She admitted she'd used me as a buffer between her and the hard parts of parenting. That she'd resented Greg, but instead of confronting him, she let me absorb the anger and responsibility. I didn't want to be the bad guy, she said. So I made you one. Hearing her say it out loud was painful. But necessary. One evening, about 3 weeks after the kids left, I got a text. From Emily. Dad says I have to write you a letter if I want to talk to you. He says you don't owe me anything. So, I'm writing. I'm sorry. For what I said. I didn't mean it like that. I was mad. But I miss home. Even the stupid chores. Can I call you? I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed back. You can call me when you can say it to my face. And when you understand that sorry isn't enough. Actions are. She replied a minute later. I know. I'm trying. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care. But because love without boundaries isn't love, it's permission. And I was done giving permission to hurt me. Greg showed up at my door one Saturday morning. Alone. He looked older. Tired. Wore a jacket despite the warm weather, like he needed armor. Can I come in? He asked. I stepped aside. He sat at the kitchen table, hands folded. They're going back to school on Monday, he said. New district. I enrolled them. I nodded. Good. I fired the nanny, he said. Wasn't working. Too expensive. Now I wake up at 5:30 to make lunches. Jake forgot his twice last week. Got detention. I almost smiled. Almost. He's failing algebra, Greg went on. Teacher says he hasn't turned in half his assignments. Emily's skipping lunch period to sit in the library. Says she doesn't want to see anyone. He looked up. I don't know how you did it. I poured him a cup of coffee. Set it down. I didn't do it alone, I said. Sarah helped. When she chose to. He nodded. She was right to pick you. I see that now. I didn't respond. He took a breath. I'm not asking you to take them back. But can you talk to Jake? Just once. He won't listen to me. He keeps saying you are the only one who ever cared. I studied him. This wasn't the same man who showed up with camping gear and zero accountability. This was a father waking up. Finally. Bring him by tomorrow, I said. 6 p.m. We'll go for a drive. He looked surprised. Then grateful. Thank you. It's not for you, I said. It's for him. Because no kid deserves to fall through the cracks. Even ones who have been spoiled rotten. He left quietly. That night, Sarah and I sat on the porch. She wrote to you, I said. She told me, Sarah said. She's scared. But she's trying. We all are, I said. She leaned her head on my shoulder. For the first time in months, it felt natural. Not forced. Not fragile. Just real. It was a Tuesday evening when Jake showed up at my door. Not with Greg. Not in the family SUV. He came alone, on foot, walking up the driveway from the bus stop 2 blocks over, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, hoodie pulled low over his eyes like he was trying to disappear. I saw him coming. I'd been watching the clock since 5:30. He didn't knock. Just stood there on the porch, hands in pockets, staring at the new deadbolt like it had personally offended him. Hey, I said, opening the door before he could decide to turn around. He grunted. Dad said you wanted to talk. I said I'd go for a drive, I corrected. If you were willing. He glanced past me into the house. Sarah here. No, I said. Just me. A flicker of something crossed his face, relief? Fear? Hard to tell. Kids that age wear masks better than politicians. You want a drink first? I asked. Water? Soda? He shrugged. Whatever. I grabbed 2 bottles of water from the fridge, handed him one. We stood in the kitchen for a moment, silence stretching between us like old rubber. Then I said, you've been failing algebra. He stiffened. Who told you? Your teacher, I said. She called the emergency contact on file. Me? He looked down. Figures. It figures because I'm still listed, I said. Even though I cut off insurance and privileges, I didn't remove myself as emergency contact. Because no matter what you said, no matter how much you pushed me away, I never stopped being someone who would show up if you were hurt. He didn't answer. I took a slow breath. So let's get one thing straight, this drive isn't about forgiveness. It's not about going back to how things were. That life is gone. What we are doing tonight is deciding whether there's a future, one where you respect boundaries, earn trust, and stop treating people like they owe you something just because they care. Jake finally looked up. His eyes were red-rimmed. Tired. I don't know how to do any of that, he admitted. There it was. The first honest thing he'd said to me in years. I nodded. Then let's start there. We took my truck. He sat in the passenger seat, silent, gripping the water bottle like it was a lifeline. I didn't turn on the radio. Didn't try to fill the silence with small talk. Instead, I drove out of the neighborhood, past the high school, toward the river trail where Sarah and I used to walk on weekends. Eventually, I pulled into an empty park lot overlooking the water. Set the parking brake. Turned off the engine. Tell me, I said, when was the last time someone held you accountable and you didn't blame someone else for it? He frowned. What? When you failed a quiz, did you say it was because the teacher hates you? When you got grounded, was it because I was too strict? When your mom tried to set a rule, did you run to your dad and complain until he overruled her? He shifted. I mean, yeah. But that's what kids do. No, I said. That's what spoiled kids do. Kids who have been taught that discomfort means injustice. That rules are oppression. That love should be easy. I turned to face him. Let me tell you something Greg probably hasn't, life doesn't care about your feelings. College won't. Employers won't. The world outside this bubble? It rewards responsibility. It punishes entitlement. And right now, you are headed straight for a crash. He swallowed hard. I don't even care about algebra. Of course you don't, I said. Because no one's ever made you care. You've been allowed to coast. To fail. To expect rescue. But Greg can't bail you out forever. And I won't. He looked out the window. Emily says you hate us now. I don't hate you, I said quietly. I'm disappointed. In you. In your sister. In your father. In your mother. In myself. But not you as a person. I see you, Jake. I always have. I saw you when you scored your first goal. When you stayed up late helping your science teacher clean the lab after class. When you gave your lunch to a kid who forgot his. He blinked fast. But I also saw you lie. Cheat. Disrespect. And every time, someone made an excuse. He's just testing limits. He'll grow out of it. He doesn't mean it. I leaned forward. But here's the truth, character isn't built in the good moments. It's built in the hard ones. When you choose to do the right thing even when no one's watching. When you take responsibility instead of pointing fingers. When you say I messed up instead of it wasn't my fault. He wiped his nose with the back of his hand. I have messed up. A lot. Then start fixing it, I said. Not for me. Not for your dad. For you. Because if you don't, you'll spend your whole life blaming everyone else while wondering why nothing ever works out. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I don't know how. I reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. What's that? He asked. Your academic report, I said. Printed from the school portal. I still have access, emergency contact, remember? You are failing algebra, behind in English, and your attendance is spotty. But you are passing history and shop class. So you are not lazy. You are just lost. He took the paper, stared at it like it was a diagnosis. I can help, I said. But not like before. No rides. No meals. No free passes. If you want tutoring, it's 2 nights a week here at the kitchen table after you've done your chores at Greg's house. You show up on time. You bring your work. You listen. And if you skip, we're done. No second chances. He looked up. Why would you even bother? Because I was once a kid who needed someone to believe in him, I said. And when I act like I don't care, I become the kind of man I always swore I wouldn't be. He didn't cry. But his voice cracked. I miss home. My chest tightened. Home. Not the house. Not the stuff. But the feeling. The safety. The routine. The unspoken knowledge that someone had your back, even when you didn't deserve it. I miss it too, I admitted. Can I come back? Not yet, I said. But you can earn it. Slowly. With action, not words. And only if Sarah and I agree it's right. He nodded. Wiped his eyes. One more thing, I said. You ever call me not your real dad again, and this ends. Because I may not be blood, but I've been more of a father to you than anyone else on most days. And that deserves respect. He looked at me. Really looked. Then, softly, yes, sir. I started the truck. And for the first time in months, something inside me began to thaw. Emily showed up. Not at the house. At the hardware store where I was buying insulation for the basement. I saw her reflection in the glass of a tool display, standing at the end of the aisle, arms crossed, hair pulled back, wearing one of my old flannel shirts I didn't even realize she'd taken. I kept shopping. Eventually, she walked over. You're really not letting us back in unless we earn it, she said. That's the deal, I said, tossing a roll of vapor barrier into my cart. It's unfair. Life is, I said. You want fairness. Try living on food stamps. Try working 3 jobs. Try being the stepdad who pays for everything but gets called a stranger. She flinched. I didn't mean it like that, she said. You said it, I said. Intent doesn't erase impact. She followed me to the paint section. Watched as I picked out a gallon of grey. Why grey, she asked. Because I'm repainting the spare room, I said. Might need it someday. She hesitated. For us? Maybe, I said. If you prove you can live by the rules. If you treat Sarah and me like partners in your life, not obstacles. She bit her lip. I've been seeing a therapist. I paused. Good. She says I use anger to avoid guilt. I almost smiled. She sounds smart. I miss Mom, she said quietly. But I've been awful to her. To you. I thought if I acted tough, I wouldn't feel so scared. Scared of what? Losing her to you, she admitted. I thought if she loved you more, there would be less for me. I put the paint down. Emily, I said, love isn't a pie. It doesn't get smaller when someone else gets a slice. The more love there is, the bigger the pie gets. Your mom loving me doesn't mean she loves you less. It means she has more love to give. Tears welled in her eyes. And I'll tell you something else, I said. The day you called me not your parent? That wasn't power. That was fear. And I let you see it. But I won't let you use it again. She nodded. I want to try. Try what? To be better, she whispered. To come home. Then start, I said. Call Sarah. Apologize. Not for the camera. Not for points. For real. And then ask what she needs from you. She wiped her cheeks. She's mad. She should be, I said. You disrespected her choice to build a life with me. You treated her like she betrayed you for loving someone else. That's not loyalty. That's control. She swallowed. I'll call her tonight. Good, I said. And Emily? I'm not your dad. Biologically, legally, whatever. But if you ever need advice, or a ride, or someone to tell you the truth, you know where I am. On my terms. She nodded. Walked away. But halfway down the aisle, she turned back. Mike? I looked up. Thanks for not giving up on us. I didn't say anything. But I gave her a small nod. And that was enough. Greg called again. This time, his voice was different. Stronger. Calmer. Like a man who would finally found his footing. They're changing, he said. Jake's meeting with a tutor, not you, but he's trying. Emily apologized to Sarah. Actually cried. Said she was sorry for everything. I sat on the back porch, beer in hand, watching the sunset. That's good, I said. She asked if she could visit, Greg said. Just for dinner. No expectations. Sarah okay with it? I'll ask her, I said. But if they come, it's under the same rules. No phones at the table. Help with cleanup. No sarcasm. No eye rolls. One violation, and it's over. He chuckled. Understood. And Mike, thank you. For not shutting the door completely. The door was never closed, I said. Just locked. For protection. We hung up. Later, I told Sarah. She looked nervous. Hopeful. They've changed, she said. They're changing, I corrected. Big difference. She took my hand. Do you think we can trust them again? I thought about it. Trust wasn't something you gave back like a returned gift. It was something you rebuilt brick by brick, action by action, apology by genuine effort. No, I said. Not yet. But I think they're learning what it costs. She smiled. Squeezed my hand. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself hope. Not that everything would go back to normal. But that something better could rise from the ruins. Something honest. Something earned. Something real. The night they came back for dinner, it rained. Not hard. Just a steady, quiet drizzle that tapped against the windows like fingers testing the glass, gentle, uncertain, waiting to be let in. I stood at the stove, stirring a pot of chili, my recipe, the one I used to make on game nights when Jake still played youth football and Emily would sneak extra cheese onto her ball when she thought I wasn't looking. Sarah set the table. White plates. Cloth napkins. No paper towels, no plastic forks. This wasn't just a meal. It was a test. For them. For us. For everything we'd broken and were trying, slowly, to rebuild. They'll be here soon, she said, voice low. I nodded, wiped my hands on a dish towel. Rules still stand? Absolutely, she said. No phones. No attitude. If they can't follow through, they leave. I looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't the same woman who used to soften every consequence with a smile, who would say they didn't mean it while I cleaned up the wreckage of their disrespect. She was different now, stronger, quieter, more present. We both were. The doorbell rang at 6:02. I didn't rush. Let it ring again. Then walked calmly down the hall. Through the peephole, I saw them. Emily and Jake. Both dressed nicely, Emily in dark jeans and a sweater, Jake in a collared shirt I didn't recognize. Greg stood behind them, hands in his pockets, giving a small nod. I opened the door. Come in, I said. Coats go on the hooks. Shoes off. You're 10 minutes late. Emily winced. Sorry. Dad got stuck in traffic. No excuses, I said. Late is late. Next time, leave earlier. Jake mumbled a yes, sir, and did as told. Greg stepped forward. I'll be back at 8. Call if anything comes up. I nodded. We will. He hesitated. Looked at his kids. Be good. And mean it. Then he left. I closed the door. Silence settled over the entryway, thick, fragile, like the first frost of winter. Follow me, I said. We moved into the dining room. Sarah stood by her chair, watching. No hugs. No I missed yous. No forced cheer. Just 4 people sitting down to a meal they weren't sure they deserved. I served the chili, generous portions, just like always. Bread on the side. Milk for Jake, water for Emily. No one spoke at first. Then Emily looked up. This smells like home. Sarah's eyes glistened. I kept eating. Jake broke the silence. So, how's work been? Fine, I said. Busy. We're finishing a library renovation downtown. Long hours. He nodded. Cool. Another pause. Then Emily said, Mike. I looked at her. I brought something, she said, reaching into her bag. She pulled out a sealed envelope. It's a letter. To you. And Mom. I wrote it with my therapist. I didn't want to just say sorry. I wanted to show I understand what I did. I took it. Didn't open it. Set it beside my plate. When you are ready, she said softly. I gave a single nod. Jake cleared his throat. I've been going to tutoring twice a week. Math's still hard, but I'm passing now. Barely. That's a start, I said. I also quit vaping, he added. Dad helped me. Threw out my stuff. It sucked. But I did it. I studied him. Saw the honesty in his face, the lack of performance. Proud of you, I said. He blinked, like he hadn't expected that. And just like that, something shifted. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But the possibility of it. After dinner, they helped clean. No complaints. No dragging feet. Emily washed. Jake dried. Sarah put things away. I wiped the counters. It felt normal. Which made it sacred. when the kitchen was spotless, I turned to them. You did well tonight, I said. You followed the rules. You showed respect. That matters. Emily looked at Sarah. Mom, can I hug you? Sarah didn't hesitate. She opened her arms. Emily stepped into them, sobbing quietly. Jake hung back, but his shoulders dropped like a weight had lifted just seeing his sister break first. Sarah hugged him next. I stayed where I was. Not because I didn't want to, but because some lines still needed space. Later, after they left, Sarah and I sat on the porch under a dry overhang, wrapped in blankets, listening to the rain slow to a whisper. She meant it, Sarah said. That letter. I read it before she gave it to you. She talked about feeling replaced. About being afraid you'd love me more than her. About hating herself for pushing you away. I sipped my coffee. Kids don't hate stepdads. They hate change. They hate losing their old life. I get it. But they can't punish the person trying to build something better. She leaned against me. Do you think they'll stay on track? I don't know, I said. But they're trying. And that's more than they've done in 10 years. She turned to me. Are you okay? I thought about it. Was I? I wasn't the same man who used to flinch at "you are not my real dad." I wasn't the one who swallowed anger to keep peace. I wasn't the invisible provider anymore. I was someone who had drawn a line and held it. Who had loved deeply, been rejected, and still chose not to close his heart completely. I'm better, I said. Not healed. Not forgetting. But free. She kissed me soft, slow, full of years and second chances. Inside, on the counter, Emily's letter sat unopened. I didn't need to read it to know what it said. I could feel it in the quiet, in the clean kitchen, in the echo of footsteps that once ran from this house and now returned with hesitation and hope. Life didn't magically fix itself. There were setbacks. Jake skipped a tutoring session. Got grounded by Greg, no games, no phone. He apologized to me anyway. Emily snapped at Sarah during an argument about curfew. Left the house crying. Came back 2 hours later with a handmade card, I'm learning. I'm sorry. Greg called me less often, but when he did, it was never to complain. Always to ask advice. One evening, he said, I never realized how much work it was. How much love it takes to show up every day, even when they hate you for it. Welcome to parenting, I said. He laughed. Yeah. Took me long enough. Sarah and I went to counseling weekly. We rebuilt trust like you rebuild a foundation, one honest conversation at a time. And slowly, the house changed. Not the walls. Not the floors. Us. Emily graduated high school. Not with honors. But she graduated. She gave a short speech at dinner that night, just us, Greg, and her Aunt Linda. She talked about anxiety. About feeling lost. About pushing people away because she was scared of needing them too much. Then she looked at me. I spent years telling myself Mike wasn't my dad so I wouldn't have to listen to him, she said. But the truth is, he was the only father I had who showed up every single day. Who paid attention. Who cared enough to say no. Her voice broke. I don't call him dad yet. Maybe I never will. But I call him mine. Because he earned it. And if I ever have kids, I hope I raise them with half the strength he showed when we treated him like nothing. I didn't speak. Couldn't. Sarah cried. Jake raised his glass. To Mike. One by one, they followed. Even Greg. I stood there, humbled, overwhelmed not by praise, but by proof. Proof that boundaries aren't walls. That walking away from toxicity isn't failure, it's self-respect. That love doesn't require martyrdom. And that sometimes, The most powerful thing a man can do is stop begging to belong and start living like he already does. I still live in the same house. Same truck. Same job. Same flannel shirts. But I'm not the same man. I used to think being a family meant sacrifice, giving everything until there was nothing left of me. Now I know it means balance. Respect. Reciprocity. The kids don't live with us. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But they visit. Text. Call. Ask for advice. And when they do, I answer, but only if they've earned the right to ask. Sarah and I renewed our vows last spring. Just us. A judge. A park bench. No fanfare. We didn't promise forever. We promised today. And tomorrow, we'll decide again. As for Greg, he's still their father. But now, he's also accountable. And that makes all the difference. People ask me sometimes, was it worth it? Cutting them off. Changing the locks. Walking away. And I say yes. Because I didn't walk away from love. I walked toward myself. And in doing so, I gave them a choice they'd never faced before. Earn the people who love you or lose them. Some families are born. Ours was built. Piece by painful piece. With boundaries. With truth. With silence that spoke louder than words. And if I had to do it all again, I'd draw the line just the same. Because the man who gives everything to be accepted is the man who forgets he's already enough. And I'm done proving it. I'm just living it.